What is going on, my family? Your boy Demetrius is back with another classic Tekken 8 video. In this video here, we are going to talk about something that so far I've never really talked about, because at the time it was just so much going on with Tekken 8. So much here, so much there. It's like the game got so much crazy shit going on. There's been a lot of things and a lot of topics that a lot of us haven't been able to get to. And also too, there's been a lot of issues that a lot of us haven't been able to get to. But now it seems like Tekken 8 has another issue, and that issue is the installs. Now, like I said, when it comes to the installs, a lot of people have been speaking their minds when it comes to that, but it's just been so much other stuff going on with Tekken 8, such as the heat system, such as the balance patches and things like that. And it is very interesting what people have to say about the installs, because one of the things when it comes to Tekken 8 Season 2, when Season 2 started, we saw a rise in installs. In Season 1, characters had them, but it wasn't to the magnitude as it is in Season 2. In Season 2, they gave more characters, more installs, and now it seems like Tekken 8 has another system issue on its hands. Now, for those of y'all that are not familiar what the install is when it comes to Tekken 8, the install is practically when a character hits you with a counter hit or something like that, they basically go into a power-up mode. Kind of like when Eddie does his down back 4-4, hits you on the counter hit, and he flashes up green, you feel what I'm saying? So that's Eddie's install. The Mendinga is like his install, y'all feel what I'm saying? Even though the Mendinga is probably one of the worst installs in the game, it does absolutely nothing. But you know, characters like Brian Fury or Zafina that have more overpowered installs, y'all feel what I'm saying? Heihachi probably has the most broken, dumb, stupid, overpowered install in the game. Completely trash, y'all feel what I'm saying? So those are the installs right there. So it's getting to the point where players and pro players, you know what I'm saying, are basically starting to speak their frustrations when it comes to the installs. And you know what? And for good reason, because after studying this, after seeing what people are talking about, I too understand why the installs are such a problem right now when it comes to Tekken 8. And the reason that a lot of people feel like it's such a problem when it comes to Tekken 8, it's like I said in the previous video, it just adds on to too many resources in the game. It almost gets to the point where it's either worthless or it's a fucking mess, like a lot of pro players are saying. Y'all feel me? And also too, it kind of seems like a lot of these installs were just put in just for show. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, when it comes to Eddie, really does absolutely nothing. You know, Eddie can't get his opponents in any type of combo situation with the install or nothing like that, with the exception of his new parry. But other than that, the installs don't do anything. It's just more for show. It's just really more extra mumbo jumbo that we unnecessarily have to deal with. And as I said, pro players are speaking out about the install and they want changes. Now, when it comes to Bandai Namco and the Tekken team changing it, we just don't know. I'm going to talk about that later on in the video. But here is what Joker had to say. Joker says installs need to be toned down or removed completely. They're absolutely useless to the game. And then that's when Arslan Ash comes back and replies and says that he agrees. There should be only one system. Heat and install should not be together, and Arslan Ash basically says that both systems together are practically just a hot damn mess, which it actually is. As I said, both Joker and Arslan Ash actually are onto something here. Now, after reading what both of them had to say and basically, you know, experiencing the whole thing with the installs myself and seeing what other players are experiencing when it comes to the installs, you know, I came to this question. We all know that the name of the pain when it comes to Tekken 8 is the heat system. So what is the real difference between the heat system and an install? Y'all feel what I'm saying? Because, you know, the heat system, you press a button, you engage, you go into heat, you know? And then the install, like you said, if you get your opponent in a counter hit situation with a certain move, it's like a power-up. So you're basically in a system with another system. So what is the real difference between the heat system and an install? You know, it just really isn't any. And it just goes back to, you know, the development team. Did they really know what they were doing when they were developing Tekken 8? Or it just kind of seemed like the development team really just didn't have no vision. You know, I said this before. It kind of seems like when it comes to Tekken 8, they were just throwing a whole bunch of shit in the pot, mixing it up, and seeing how the community will take it. And now they're seeing the backlash from it. But when it comes to the heat system and when it comes to the installs, there's really not a difference, because the heat system is an install, right? Because when you activate heat, you have heat moves, you have things that become more powerful than they were before you activated it, and then of course you got the heat smashers. So what's the real difference? You feel what I'm saying? What's the real difference? And then let's just say if you have a character like a Zafina or Heihachi, it's practically the same thing. When you go to their installs, they become more powerful. They moves become more super. We already know what Heihachi's dumbass can do when he's in his installs. Guard break galore and all of that bullshit. So what's the real difference between the heat system and the install? So this is what people like Joker and Arslan Ash are referring to. There's no real difference. And then having them both at the same time, it's just a lot to deal with if you're an opponent having to defend against all of this. Once again, yes, I'm picking on Heihachi's dumbass. Look, when Heihachi goes into heat and in his install, and let's just say you've used up all of your resources, okay? Let's just say you've used up your heat. Let's just say you used up your rage art and you got like 20%, 25% damage left. If Heihachi has heat, if he has his install, you're gonna lose. Let's just face it. If Heihachi has all of his resources and you don't, and let's not forget, I'm gonna pile on to what Arslan Ash said. He said both of them at the same time is a mess. Well, how about if you have both of them at the same time activated plus rage? That's a hot damn mess. And like I said with Heihachi, if Heihachi has heat, if he has his install, and if he has rage with all three, and you don't have any resources, and you're sitting there having to defend Heihachi, you're gonna lose. Heihachi's gonna come out as the winner. He's gonna guard break the fuck out of you, you know, the fucking safe lows, all of that bullshit. So it's just really overwhelming, and to a lot of people it is absolutely unfair, and I do agree. When it comes to the installs, it does seem like an unfair feature because it is like a second heat system. And like I said, a lot of people haven't really been talking about this to the magnitude that it should have been talked about because of all of the other issues that's been going on with Tekken 8. So Joker says that the installs should be removed. Now, are they going to remove the installs? Unfortunately, I don't think so. And the reason why I say that is because Armor King, if y'all go back and watch the teaser trailer, Armor King got install written all over him. You feel what I'm saying? When he was spitting out that fire, I just got this funny feeling Armor King is going to have an install. So they're not going to get rid of it. And then on top of that, when it comes to the new character, you could best believe the new character is going to have an install just because it's a new character. This new character is probably going to be basically a Tekken 8 product. Meaning that this new character is probably going to have some type of special overpowered broken weapon with an install. So this new character is probably going to be on some type of bullshit. We should not expect a classic traditional Tekken character when it comes to this new character coming up when it comes to Tekken 8. I'm saying they may shock us. They may shock us, but this new character is probably going to be a Tekken 8 product. Probably going to have some weapons. Probably going to have an install. So to answer Joker's question, they're not going to get rid of the installs. It's because the characters that are constantly coming, they're going to get installs. And like I said, Armor King got install written all over him, especially since King himself didn't have an install. So I think they're going to give Armor King one. Y'all feel what I'm saying? So when it comes to the installs, they're not going to remove the installs. And when it comes to a lot of these moves, they're not going to remove a lot of these moves either. They can do it. I just feel like they're not going to do it. And the reason why they're not going to remove any of these moves or remove things such as the install is because they're looking at it as it wouldn't be Tekken 8. I've said this plenty of times. The heat system is frustrating, but if they remove it, it's not going to be Tekken 8, unfortunately. And I always said that, look, they don't have to get rid of the heat system. They just have to make it balanced to the point where it's not stealing matches from us. They just have to make it balanced to the point where it doesn't overwhelm us. You feel what I'm saying? But now you got the second issue here, which is the installs, and people are saying like, look, we already have heat. What's the point of having this crap? Y'all feel what I'm saying? So I understand what people like Joker and Arslan Ash are saying, but the installs are not going away, unfortunately. Like I said, they can do a lot of things about it, but it doesn't look like they're going to. The reason why is because they're looking at it like they're putting these things in because they want Tekken 8 to just be in its own universe. Y'all feel what I'm saying? And let's just keep it all the way real. Tekken 8 is in its own universe right now, and a lot of players are just not happy with it. A lot of players are just unfamiliar with what's going on. I don't know when it's going to get better, but it just kind of seems like when it comes to Tekken 8, it's like the development team, they're just basically throwing shit into the pot. It's like they're trying to find a formula for Tekken 8. They kind of have one in season 1, but now it's just like they're just throwing shit on top of it, trying to find something else, and it's really frustrating the players right now. But when it comes to the installs, is the installs an issue? Yes, they are. The issue that I have with the installs, and like I just explained, it's another resource that we have to deal with unnecessarily. And then on top of that, when it comes to certain characters, it's really pointless. Certain characters, it's really broken and overpowered to the point where if you're going up against that particular character, like I said, with Zafina, before she had her installs, Zafina was one of those characters you could really play traditional Tekken against her. Now with her install, you can still do that, but you have to make sure you have your resources. If you have an install, you have to make sure you use it accordingly to hers. The same thing with heat. Y'all feel what I'm saying? Because Zafina's install is absolutely out of this world. I don't know what they were doing. It's like they are so desperate to get Arslan Ash to try to play this character that they're just buffing the hell out of her with an install, all of these moves. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So when it comes to certain characters, yeah, certain characters damn near cheat when it comes to this install. Once again, bitch ass Heihachi. Heihachi goes into install, goes into heat. Heihachi is practically a cheating character at that point. You feel what I'm saying? Heihachi is going to cheat his way to victory. So when it comes to the install, that's my problem. There's an unbalance to where it's useless to certain characters, but it's a cheat code to other characters. And if they're not going to remove them, they need to balance them where it's just basically a two-way street when it comes to these installs, because one character having a super more overpowered install over the other is completely unfair, because if that character has an overpowered install and then activates heat, that's just more overwhelming bullshit we have to deal with, and it is very frustrating. And when it comes to defense ain't going to help you when it comes to a lot of these characters' installs plus the heat if it gets activated. So that is the big issue when it comes to the installs right now. To certain characters, it sucks. Other characters, it's a cheat code. Other characters can use it and put it together with heat, become overpowered, and then can put it with rage. All of those resources, absolutely overwhelming. Absolutely overwhelming. You know, too much stuff going on when it comes to Tekken 8. Too many resources, and it's just getting to the point where it's exhausting players. Players are getting exhausted because of this. You know, when you play Tekken 8 and have to experience all of that, I'm telling you, after one match, you get exhausted. You get physically exhausted because you got to deal with all of that shit. And this is what we're trying to explain to the development team. We're getting exhausted when we play this game because of all these damn resources. But like I said, Tekken 8 truly does have an install issue right now. And as I said, when it comes to the development team, it's going to be one of those situations where they are totally going to ignore it. And I kind of noticed things too. A lot of these pro players, have y'all noticed? The pro players are not tagging the development team. They're not tagging Harada. They're not tagging Nakatsu. But when it comes to the competitive players or the content creators, they're the one tagging the development team. I don't know why the pro players are not tagging the developers. Maybe they don't want to get in some type of endorsement trouble or some shit like that. But these pro players, they need to start tagging the development team, because they are the ones that are speaking up the most, and they're not doing the tagging. They're not doing the Tekken 8 report or anything like that. I'm starting to see that too. These pro players are talking all of this. They doing all this complaining, but they're not tagging the development team. tag the development team if y'all got a problem with it, because that's what we doing. That's what the content creators are doing, and that's what the lower competitive players are doing. Y'all feel what I'm saying? So that's another issue right there. The pro players doing all of this talking, but they're not tagging. They need to handle that shit as well. If you're going to complain about it, let the team know. Tag them. That's what the whole thing is there for. That's what they said. So let me know what y'all think in the comments section below about the whole issue with the installs when it comes to Tekken 8. Do you have an issue with the installs? What are your experience with the installs, and what do you think that they should change or balance when it comes to the installs in Tekken 8? Put y'all thoughts and y'all feelings in the comment section below. We could definitely get a conversation started. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to your boy for the hottest Tekken 8 action on the internet, period. My name is Demetrius. I will get back at you in the next video. God bless. Stay safe. I am out. Peace.